I created for my couples coaching sessions called the Wheel of Love. It's a pretty helpful tool. I could do a whole program on it, but I thought I would just touch base with you. So this blue section, attraction, why, psychologically and spiritually, it's really interesting to take a close look at this. And first of all, yes, we are attracted to each other to perpetuate the species just like any other animal. And recognizing that that's happening, that awareness can help us as we move into relationship to know what's, oh, I get it, I'm getting full of all kinds of endorphins and stuff to try to perpetuate the species. Just the awareness, it can help. But beyond that, why do we have an attraction to a particular person? The psychology in this is pretty simple and profound. We are attracted to people with similar characteristics as those who raised us as children. So first of all, our mother and father, then our siblings and our neighbors, uncles, all these aunts, cousins, all of these people who were around when we were a child. And those characteristics attract us as we become adults. Why? So we can heal that relationship inside of us. All the things in those relationships that weren't perfect when we were children, we wish to heal inside of us. So the purpose of the attraction is to heal ourselves, to work on those very issues. And spiritually, it's interesting to recognize that the theory is basically the same, that we are attracted to each other from a spiritual, soulful sense for the same reason, to create healing. I can't prove this one. This one gets a little more ethereal. But it's a highly held belief that before entering into this experience of life, there are certain souls that actually made agreements with each other to come together, to have certain characteristics that would help the other soul heal and awaken, to come back to their true self. And so either way you look at it, the idea is the same, that we are attracted to people underneath the initial reaction to perpetuate the species is to create healing in our soul and in our mind and in our heart for all the things that feel broken inside of us. And this second section in red, acceptance. In relationship, we must learn the power of acceptance, or the relationship will not survive. It just won't. Without exception, in every relationship, the partners have to learn to accept each other for who they are. Ideas, beliefs, opinions, looks, everything. We must learn the power of acceptance, or it will not survive. And we also have to come to terms, really, with what degree to which are we willing to accept. And usually, the more you're able to accept, the more at peace you will be. That's usually how it works. The power of acceptance. The green section, love and respect, air and food. What does this refer to? Well, for men, almost all men, they would rather feel respected than loved. Respect is like the air that we breathe. Without it, we begin to suffocate. It's what sustains us instantaneously. Now, men need to feel loved as well, but it's more like food. You can go for a pretty long time without it. You're not going to suffocate and die right in this moment if you don't have it, but it's important as well. Now, for women, it's the opposite. Women need to feel, their need generally is to feel loved. They want to feel loved like the air that they breathe. They want to feel loved. Respect is important too, but it's more like food. This is a very interesting concept, and it is true. However, the more self-love and respect we have, the less we desire it or need it from anyone or anything outside of us. That's the ultimate journey we're on as we awaken. It's that self-love and acceptance. And that creates more authentic and deep relationship. And the purple, react or respond. In all of life, we want to learn to respond, to be response-able to all of life situations instead of react like a nuclear reaction to what is happening around us. And relationship gives us the opportunity to really learn how to respond from a centered place instead of react. Here's how it works. In relationship, we begin to see ourselves. We become so entangled that it's easy to slip into seeing ourselves through the other person's frame, through the other person's eyes. And because we begin to slip into this, what they do and what they say, we take to heart. We begin to believe it deeply, and it affects us if we're not careful. And because of that deep effect, we react emotionally. Instead of be able to think about and consider and then simply respond. If your significant other says to you, you're a slob, because we're seeing through their eyes, we're seeing ourselves through their framework, through their eyes, through an entanglement, it can hit us pretty deep, right in the heart. It can knock us out because we believe it. So we react defensively because we've learned to believe their framework. Whereas if somebody else in the world, or some random person or whatever, call us a slob, it probably just bounce right off. It's like, why should I care? Whatever. It doesn't mean anything to me. I'm not seeing through their framework, through their eyes, you see. As we awaken to relationship, more and more, we're able to see through our partner's eyes, recognize that we're doing this, that we're giving them all kinds of power, that we've learned to believe their view about us in every way and take it real. As we recognize that we're doing this, the awareness is everything, we can begin to disentangle from them. Still see through their frame, that's important, it helps us, but do it from a non-attached observer perspective. And as we can see through their eyes, through a non-attached observer perspective, we can learn the lessons we're here to learn without having a nuclear reaction. And number 5, I call this one the illusion of compatibility. Compatibility is always touted as the key to creating a healthy relationship, a long-term relationship. And there's a lot of truth to this. Statistically speaking, yes. It is said and it is proven that if you have the same religious beliefs, the same political belief, the same ethnic background, the same ideas and opinion, the more the same you are, the more likely you are to survive. And that's true. I mean, it is true. The more likely you are to make it in a relationship. However, I call it the illusion of compatibility because it's not necessarily the best thing. Even though the relationship has a better chance of surviving, I like to point out to my couples who are having a difficult time with compatibility that actually may be the very best thing that's happening for them, because it is in our differences that we are forced to see through different eyes. It's in our differences that we are forced to expand who we are. If we have a significant other who has different religious beliefs or political beliefs, then it exposes us to a different idea and begins to cause us to consider our own thinking and our own beliefs and to expand those beliefs so that we can be more compassionate and understanding. And so compatibility on one level is a good thing. But I sure like my clients to understand that it's those moments and those ideas that we are conflicting in that actually create the greatest opportunity for growth and awakening and enlightenment, and on the other end of enlightenment. And this final section I call types of relationships. There's generally 3 different types of relationships. There is avoidance, explosive, and communicative. Now, historically speaking, it has been believed for as long as relationship has been studied that the communicative style is the best style. Like, you have to communicate. That's how you get through it. You gotta sit down and talk about it, and you gotta say it, and you gotta say it. This is what was believed for a long time, that this was the only way relationship would work. Well, guess what? It's pretty much been proven wrong.
For one-on-one coaching with Barry and Christy, reach out to them directly. No landing pages, no funnels, just a simple email. Send them a message at barry@marriagemagic. They'd love to connect, set up a session, and tell you all about their programs, including the brand new, exciting Marriage Magic app designed to bring inspiration with you wherever you go. Join the thousands who've been touched by Marriage Magic. Let's make love last together.
I didn't think we were going to make it, but Marriage Magic is like a new start.
All I ever wanted was to feel loved. That's all. Because of Marriage Magic, I I do.
And I'm telling you, every single person has changed when they hear Barry Dennis speak. You are going to be so blessed.
If you're interested in deepening the love in your own life, then I highly recommend Barry and Christy as teachers and their course on love.
It's pretty much been proven wrong that couples of any one of these styles, explosive, avoidance, or communicative, are equally likely to succeed, that one is not better than the other. Interesting. However, where it becomes critical is that the two couples share in their style. So if you have an explosive couple, as long as they're both people who get really fired up at times, what that is they have a desire to just let it out. And the other person having that same style, getting in big arguments and stuff, they too get to let it out. That's how they're wired. And so they both are, even though they don't know they've made this agreement, they understand each other. They let it out and then it's gone. This works just as much as the communicative style, it's been proven. And then avoidance. People who simply, you know what, I don't want to get into it. we're just gonna avoid that issue. It's just as good as communicative. Two people who share the same idea. As long as one doesn't have to talk about it, and then the other one is in avoidance. If they both are that way, that didn't happen, it didn't happen, and they move on, they're just as likely to work out. It's just as real of a way of being in relationship. The main thing is, however, that the two couples share in how they wish to do it. Because if you have an explosive on an avoidance, it's more difficult. If you have one who wants to communicate with an explosive or avoidance and sit down, you see, then it gets difficult. Not that it's unsurmountable, and we can work at learning each other's styles, which could be our greatest lesson. And so it's empowering to just understand that these three styles exist, and each of them is equally acceptable. But that if you're not on the same page, it can be more difficult. But having the awareness that they exist, and recognizing what style your partner is, it can go a long way.